Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to build a Jenkins pipeline, the end-to-end pipeline for continuous integration and continuous deployment. As part of this specific tutorial, I'm going to break this tutorial in 5 sections. First, we are going to understand the architectural diagram for our implementation. Second, we are going to configure the Jenkins master on EC2 instance. Third, we are going to configure Jenkins slaves, and we are going to make the connectivity by using the Jenkins agent to the Jenkins master for the slaves. Then we will move ahead and we will configure GitHub for continuous integration. Then last but not the least, so the fifth part is the most important part, where we are going to deploy the entire CI/CD flow, in which as soon as you push your code to GitHub, it will automatically deploy onto your application. Suppose if I make any change to my code where I have to change the user interface of my application, it will be reflected immediately with this CI/CD end-to-end pipeline. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So without wasting much time, let's get started.
So let's get started with our hands-on tutorial where we are going to deploy a Jenkins CI pipeline. So let's see the agenda for today. So guys, in today's agenda, we will be starting with implementation architectural diagram overview, where we understand that what exactly we are going to do as part of this tutorial. Once we understand that, then we will first launch our AWS EC2 instance and configure the Jenkins master onto that EC2. Then we will move ahead and we will install or launch our EC2 instance for the slaves, which will be connecting as an agent to our Jenkins master. Then we will be going ahead and we would be looking into webhook configuration, where we are going to create webhook with GitHub so that we are going to have continuous integration. As soon as if I make any change onto my code on GitHub, it will be automatically pushed by Jenkins onto our app server or the slave server. And at the end, we will deploy the CI/CD pipeline end to end from continuous integration to continuous delivery. So let's get started with understanding of our architectural diagram. So what exactly we're going to do is, we are going to create a CI/CD pipeline. So over here, this part is the continuous integration, where when a developer is going to go ahead and push the code onto GitHub, automatically based on the webhook, it is going to run the job on Jenkins Master. What Jenkins Master is going to do is, the work of Jenkins Master is to initiate the job based on the trigger which has been configured, and it is going to run that job on our slave 1 or slave 2 based on our requirement. Because as you know, while we are configuring the Jenkins job, we have an option of selecting the slave on which we are going to run, or we can select that pick any based on the Jenkins side. So this is the implementation of the CI/CD end-to-end and the architectural diagram. Now, without wasting much time, let's see what's our next agenda point. So the next agenda point is, we are going to now go ahead and configure Jenkins master on Amazon EC2 instance. So let me take you to our screen. Okay, so this is our AWS console. So let me do one thing. Let me go ahead and open EC2. So we are on the EC2 dashboard. So over here right now, you can see that we are not running any of the instances. So let's go ahead and launch an instance for our Jenkins master. I'll click on launch instance on the console. Once I click on launch instance, I will give the name as Jenkins master. Okay. Now I am going to install it on Amazon Linux. Okay. And I'm going to take the default AMI for Amazon Linux. But over here, instead of setting a free tier, I am going to change the tier. That is the instance type. The instance type is what I'm going to use is this one. Why I'm using medium? Because if you go to the official documentation, it says that the recommended hardware is 4 GB of RAM and 50 GB of drive space. So I would be going ahead and taking. I would go ahead and take it as 4 GB of RAM. And as we are going to connect by using EC2 instance connect, just give me a minute. Just minimize it. So once we select that, we are going to go ahead and proceed without any key pair. The reason for that is because we are going to connect to our server by using EC2 connect. Now, Coming to the network setting, over here you can see this is my network setting. So by default it is there. So I will edit this, and over here I will select my subnet. Okay, just one clarification. So I would be doing this in US, sorry, US West 2. So let me just update that. It's US West. Okay, so I think we will have to start again. So we are on the launch screen. Over here, I will give the name to the server as Jenkins hyphen master. Okay, over here, I'm going to select Amazon Linux as our operating system. Then over here, I would be going ahead and I would be selecting T2 medium. Why I'm selecting T2 medium? If you go to the official documentation of Jenkins, over here it says that recommended hardware configuration for a small team is 4 GB of RAM. Okay, this is the minimum one, but I am taking the maximum one based on so that it is not going to create an issue. But if you want, you can also go with the minimum hardware requirements, that is T2 micro. Okay. Now I have selected this over here. Now we are not going to use any key. The reason for that is I would be using EC2 Instance Connect for connecting to my instance. I will show you later on. Now, if I click on edit, this is my VPC. So over here, I am going to select the subnet as US West 2A. I have enabled the auto assign IP. Now I will create a security group. So let's see Jenkins tutorial. Okay, so this is our security group for Jenkins. I have just maximized it for better clarity. Now, if I scroll down over here, by default, it has added TCP Bluetooth. That is for anywhere. Now, what I will do, I will add more security group rule. Apart from SSH, I would require HTTP. This is HTTP. Okay, port 80. Again, I'm going to do it anywhere. Then another rule I'm going to add. The third rule is going to be traffic. It should have, no, not traffic. So the third rule would be port 80 and be again 8080. So I will say TCP, custom TCP. Over here, port will be 8080. Okay, and again I will make it as anywhere. So right now you can see we have added three rule. Rule is 22, then is 80, then the third one is 8080. Now moving forward, I'm going to make it as 30 as my storage, and now we are going to jump upon advanced details. So why advanced details? Because in this I am not going to take you to the server and install each and every component step by step. Let's do in the practical way as the company uses. So in company, nobody is going to go on the server and install each and every component of installation one by one. They are going to use user data, part of the launch configuration. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write script over here in the script, and let me explain you step by step what exactly we are doing over here. If required, let me expand it more better clarity. Okay. So let's understand what we are doing here. So first, we are going to update our, so as soon as our instance is launched, it is going to run the update command, which will update all the existing libraries that we have. Then uh, Java is a prerequisite for installing Jenkins. How I can say that? If I go to this official documentation, over here you can see the software requirement is Java. So Java is one of the required component for installing Jenkins. So first and foremost, we are going to install Java. Why this Java? Because we are going to install it on Amazon Linux, and this is one of the Amazon Linux neighbor Java itself. So that is the corridor. Then we are going to run this command, that is wget Jenkins repo, which is going to install the Jenkins package from the Jenkins repository. Now, when you go on the Linux page, over here you will see only three flavors mentioned. One is Debian, Ubuntu, one is Fedora, and one is Red Hat, Alma, and Rocky. So when you're going to use Amazon Linux too, over there you have to use the flavor Red Hat. So go to the official documentation. Over here you will see the same command. You can copy these commands, two commands, and just paste it over there. That's what I have done. If you will see, I have pasted both the command over there. So once you paste the command over there, then we are going to install Jenkins. So over here, I am installing it on the current position of the repo. That is the reason there is no need to create a directory. I can directly go ahead and run Jenkins install. So it will install the Jenkins. Once the Jenkins is installed, it is going to enable it, and it is also going to start the Jenkins server. So as soon as you will see, once we create the server, immediately within a few minutes, you will be able to see the landing page of Jenkins. So without wasting much time, let me first minimize it a bit. Now let me go scroll down and let's launch the instance. So our instance is getting created as well as our new security group that we have associated. And if I click on instances, you can see, yes, our Jenkins master has created. So creation is in start phase. It will take 3 to 4 minutes max to get it up and online. So let's refresh. And as you can see, the server is up and running. Now, as I said you that we won't require any keypad. The reason for that is I will just click on over here. I will click on connect, and in EC2 Instance connect, I can connect it directly by clicking on connect without any keypad. That is the reason we didn't create any keypad. So right now it is establishing the connection over here. Meanwhile, what I will do is I will copy this IP address and open it over here. That is http://:8080. Let's run this. And guys, you can see that our Jenkins server is up and running without even logging into the server. Everything is installed as it's just with the user data script. Don't worry, I will share that script with you. So over here, it is saying that to start the installation of Jenkins, we have to go to this specific location and get the password. So I have copied this location. I will go back to our server. Over here, I will type sudo su. Once I have typed sudo su over here, let me just maximize it for better clarity of yours. Okay. Now, again, the next command should be cat, and I will just paste the path that is given over here on enter. And yes, here is the password. I will double click, copy, go back over here in Jenkins and paste and click on continue. So over here, I will select install suggested plugins. And it will one by one install all the required plugins over here. Now let's go ahead and start the Jenkins. So now our Jenkins master is up and running. So our first step of configuring Jenkins master is completed. Now let's see our next. So our next step is we now are going to create a slave server over here, and we are going to associate that slave server with Jenkins master. But before doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to click on manage Jenkins. Over here, I will make one setting, which is security setting. Over there, I will define one specific port on which our uh, slaves are going to connect with our Jenkins master. So I will keep a fixed port, and let's take a random port which would be 40933. Okay, and I will save it. But once you save it over here, then the most important thing is go back to your EC2 instance, click on security. Inside that security group, as we have added a port over there, click on edit port rules and make sure that we are going to add a rule over here, custom IP TCP 40933. And let's save the rules. So yes, it's saved. So we have configured it on a fixed port. Now, what's next? Now we are going to go ahead and click on nodes, and we are going to create the node one by one. So right now you can see there is only one node. I will just go ahead and click on new node. Over here, I will click on permanent agent, and I will say it as slave one. Click on create. Now it is going to ask for the number of executors. I am going to keep the number of executors as one, and over here the root directory. So let me go back over here. Let's see what is our current root directory. It is home EC2 user. So what I will do is the current directory, I will copy this path, go to Jenkins, and I will just add a Jenkins folder over here. Okay, that's done. Other setting we are going to keep as it is, and just remember we are not going to use launch agent with SSH. Instead, we are going to launch agent by connecting it to the controller. So we will connect it by using the controller, and this is the easiest part because I have seen a lot of tutorials where you have to configure the SSH key, you have to put the RSA key everywhere, and then the slave will connect to the master. But in this case, it's very easy. It is just in a fraction of a second you will be able to do that. So I will click on save over here. Now, once we click on save, the node is created, and you will see right now the node is not connected. It is showing cross mark. If I click over here, okay, so this is the command that it is asking me to run. So now what we'll do, I will go back to the EC2 instance, uh, and let me just minimize it a bit, and we are going to launch another instance. So it will be Jenkins slave one. Okay. Now over here I will keep the same. You can keep it as T2 micro also, it should not be an issue, without any key pair. And again I will edit this, and I will make sure that it is in the same subnet where I have created this. I will select the existing group, and in existing group we just created the Jenkins tutorial group. I'm going to select that. Okay, and I'm going to keep this as 30 GB. And now coming to the advanced detail. So the other configuration that we did over here is instance type. We have selected the same like our Jenkins master. Key pair is not required, and the VPC network is again the same like Jenkins master, and we have kept storage as 30 GB. Now I will scroll down to the Jenkins one, and over here you have to remember that while we are going to install our slave, what things needs to be available on slave. So as per my understanding, you should have Docker installed because we are going to run our application in a Dockerized manner. So Docker will be one of the prerequisite. By default, Java also would be one of the prerequisite, as well as Git should also be a prerequisite because we might be running some Git command too. Because whenever we want data, we clone the data from the GitHub, and then it has been processed by the Jenkins job. So over here, what I'm going to do is, so right now I will just go ahead and paste the command. Let me explain it to you. It is the same. First, as soon as the server will be created, it will update all the existing RPMs that we have. Then it is going to install Java. Then it is going to install Docker, as I said. Once Docker is installed, it will enable it and it will start Docker. Then it will install Jenkins. Then it will install Git. Once Git is installed, what we're going to do is we are going to create a Jenkins folder over here. Okay. So instead of this, we have to have this path. That is, I will copy it. I will take you back over here. It should be. So what it is going to do is it is going to create the specific path. Then we will go inside this specific path, and now we have to go ahead and run the command. What are those commands? These are the commands. So I will just copy this command and I will paste it over here. Oh, sorry, maybe it's not copied. Again and paste. So the curl S command is available as well as other secret command. Both the command is available as you can see. Okay. Now, as it is available, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click on launch instance, and we will keep on monitoring whether it is getting connected or not by checking the status. Okay. So I will just go ahead and click on launch instance. So it will take around 3 to 4 minutes to launch the instance. Let me go to the instances, refresh it. Now it is showing two instances, master and slave. And if I click on this, okay. So it is in running state now. I'll just click on refresh, refresh, Jenkins 1, slave 1. Let's go over here. Let's go to the node and click on refresh. So guys, now as you can see, slave 1, it has been connected. Okay. Cross mark has gone away. So first I will go to the built-in node. Over here, I will just click on configure and we will just remove the executors over here because we don't require an executor. Okay. I can go back to manage nodes. Inside node, we can click on built-in, configure. Over here, we can keep it as 0. Save it. Yes. Let's go back to the nodes. Okay. Over here, we have kept, see, the agent is connected. Now the slave 1 is connected. So let's go ahead and do one thing. So to test whether our slave 1 is connected, what I will do, I will just go ahead and click on new item. I will say Jenkins basic pipeline freestyle project and click on OK. And over here, what I will do is I will click on add build step, execute shell, and as part of execute shell, we will say echo the server is not the server, the Jenkins agent is connected. So what I will do is I have made the changes to this. I will click on save. Okay. Once it is saved, what I will do, I will go to the Jenkins basic pipeline and I will click on build now. Let's see if the build is successful. So guys, as you can see, the build has been completed successfully. Let me go to the console output and check if the shell command is available. Okay, so guys, you can see over here, it was able to run the command. The Jenkins agent is connected. Now, the same way we did it for this, we can do it for our second server, that is slave 2. Okay, so let's repeat that for slave 2. So I will go to the instances again. I will click on, okay, so there is some issue. Let me reload. Okay, now the way we have configured our Jenkins slave 1, what first we will have to do is, I will go over here in our dashboard. In dashboard, I will go to manage Jenkins. Once I am in manage Jenkins, I will go ahead and create the nodes. Now over here, before doing that, if I go to the dashboard, right now, if I open the pipeline and click on configure, so over here you have an option where you want to run your specific instance. So we will explore that when we are going to integrate this with Git, where we will give the repository URL and we will tell them that where we have to run it. So over here right now, the repository, we can change it based on our. So usually when we'll create slave 2, so for that testing, what we can do is we can run the same job and as part of the testing, just click on rest where this job has to run. And instead of slave 1, we will do it slave 2. So right now it is by default slave 1 because we only have one agent, but later on you can modify it. Just giving a heads up before we launch our instance. Now going back to the dashboard, we will follow the same process where we are going to click on manage Jenkins and we are going to click on nodes and now we will create new node permanent agent. Now it says copy existing. not copy existing node, slave to create. Once it is created, we will again have the same repository that we had created over here. So what was it? Just a minute, it's loading. So it is home EC2 user. I will copy this. Let's go to Jenkins over here and slash JN Jenkins. Now, once this is done, I will click on save. Once we save, what we will do is we'll click on slave 2 and you get these two commands that we have to add. Now, the way we have added the user data, same way we'll do it over here. So I will write Jenkins slave 2, slave 2. I will be installing Amazon Linux 2 and the instance type can be any. So the basic requirement is 256. I have kept it as medium. I am going to keep proceed without key pair. I will click on edit. I will have it again same availability zone, that is 2A. Then I will select the existing security group and that existing security group is supposed to be Jenkins tutorial that I have created in front of you. Now over here I will keep storage as 30 and I will click on advanced details. Now as part of advanced details, what we are going to do is we are going to first update the existing repository as soon as the server is launched. Then we will install Java. Then we will install Docker, enable Docker and start Docker. Then we'll install Git. And then over here, what we're going to do is we are going to create a directory sudo mkdir and the path of the directory. Once we are inside the directory, then what we're going to do is we have to run the specific command. What this command is going to do is first curl command is going to install agent.jar file onto the server. Second command is going to run that specific jar file that we have created. So I will copy this. Now over here, one thing you have to remember that these commands are without sudo. So I will write sudo space control V. So the curl command is done. Now second command is java jar. For that also what we'll do is write sudo space java jar. Sudo space java. Okay. So as this is done, I will go ahead and click on launch instance. So it will take a few minutes to launch. I will go to the instances once again. Okay, some pop-up. Okay, so it is pending. Let's wait for a few minutes. Okay, so it is up and running now. So still the agent connection takes some time. So we will require a few minutes over here. As per my understanding, it should take 1 to 2 minutes. So I will go back to the nodes over here and I will we can just you can just keep on refreshing the status. Automatically this will go from not connected to connected very soon. So right now over here it is not showing right that is connected, but within few minutes it will show. Just keep on refreshing. So guys, as you can see, our slave 2 is also connected. Without even logging to the server, everything is up and running. Now let's test it from the same job. What I will do is I will go back to the dashboard again. Once I am into the dashboard, I will click on this Jenkins pipeline. I'll click on configure, and this time I want this pipeline to be restricted and it should run on slave 2. Just to understand if our what we say, like if the agent is able to run the jobs that we wanted to run commanded by our Jenkins master. So I have made these changes. I will click on save. Now I will just go ahead and click on build now. So the first build that we did, it was on slave 1. Now let's test the second. Okay, so our second build is also successful. Over here you can see the build is successful, and if I go to the console output, see building all done Jenkins. So our second agent is also connected successfully without any issues. So going back, let's see what's next. So now it's time for us to create the continuous integration between Jenkins and GitHub. So for doing that, what we're going to do is we are going to create a repository, a blank repository. Once that repository is created, then for that specific repository, we are going to configure the webhook. Now, the webhook that we're going to configure, that webhook is going to have the URL of our Jenkins master. Once we provide that and we enable the webhook over there, then whenever we are going to push any file onto our GitHub, automatically that file is going to go ahead and run our Jenkins job. Now, over here, what I'm going to do is before doing deploying starting our continuous integration, let me start by creating a blank repository onto my GitHub repository. So I am onto my GitHub repo. What I will do is I will click on repositories. I will click on new. Over here, I would say there, Jenkins underscore tutorial underscore pipeline. Okay. See, the name is available. I will keep it as public and I will create the repository over here. So the repository is created. Now, as part of this repository, what I will do, I will add some files over here. So for now, what we will do, we can go ahead and create new file. And right now, let's have only one file, which is known as readme.md. Okay, this is the readme file. Commit changes, commit, and the file has been created. Now, what we will do, so once this file is created, so what I will do, I will go back to Jenkins. So again, now I am going to create another job, which job is used to understand if our GitHub integration is successful or not. So what I will do, I will create a new item. I will say it as GitHub integration freestyle project. Okay. So once we go ahead and create that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on GitHub project. Inside the GitHub project, I am going to provide the URL for our GitHub repo. For that, I will go over here and let's go to the Jenkins one and click on the repo URL, HTTPS, copy this and go back and put it over here. So that is done. Once that is done, we are going to restrict this to be running on slave 1. Okay, click on slave 1. Now going down, what we're going to do is we are going to click on Git. Inside Git, again, I will put the same URL over here. We are going to keep the credentials as none and the branch that we have, what branch we have over here, let's see. So over here we have branch main. Okay, so we can go ahead and write branch main, because many a times it does not take master. Usually it should take master, otherwise you can keep it blank. By default it will take master, take main. Then we will go ahead and click on save. Okay, now once we click on save, what we have to do is we have to go to build now. Let's click on build. So guys, as you can see, our build is successful. Let's go to the console output. So as you can see, it has built in slave 1. Okay, so the build is done. After the build is done, what all commands it has ran? It has ran the command as cloning repository. So it has cloned our repository and it has cloned our repository into home EC2 user Jenkins over here. And as it has cloned our repository, we would be able to see what exactly is there in the repo. Now, to understand if it is uh, up and running, uh, to understand if the GitHub integration is successful, what I will do is I will go over here, click on Jenkins Slave, click on connect and click on connect again. So let's close this one and the server is establishing connection by port 22. So we are here in the server. I will click on sudo su and let's type pwd. So we are in EC2. So we have to go in cd Jenkins. Now, as we are in cd Jenkins, I will just write ls space -lrt. So guys, you can see there is one directory which got created. So again, I will just write slash, sorry, not slash works ls-lrt workspace. In this, you can see it has created the GitHub integration pipeline for us. So this was created previously, but now it has created this GitHub integration as we have provided. Now, as part of this, I will again provide GitHub integration. And in this, you can see the README file has been fetched and cloned successfully. Why it has been cloned? Because as part of our slave, we have Git also installed, right? So all Git commands that we are running, as you saw in the console output, was able to fetch the data from there, and the GitHub integration, that is pulling data from GitHub, is successful without any issues. Now, moving to the next part. So whenever we are going to whenever we are going to put any file, what Jenkins job is doing over here right now, it is going ahead and cloning the repository and it is copying the file to our workspace. Okay. So right now you saw that we had added the README file, but apart from README file, what I will do, I will go ahead and add our Docker file too. So let me add it over here. Just a minute. First we have to click on upload files, and we will add two files over here, index file and Docker file. Okay, so it's uploading and the upload is successful. I will commit the changes. So the changes are committed successfully. What we are going to do right now is I will go again over here, go to the GitHub integration job. Okay, and I'm going to build that job again. And once it is built, see, second build is done. It has again cloned the repository without any errors. If I go over here in the EC2 instance, and again I run the same command, you will see instead of the readme.md, we will be having three files. I am just showing this to cross confirm whether all our files are getting cloned as soon as we are going to create that. Now, click on enter. Yes, you can see. So as our part two, what we have done is right now we have just uh, did the GitHub integration. We have not done the continuous integration. Now, what I will do is I will go ahead and do the continuous integration at the current time itself. For doing that, what I will have to do is I will have to go ahead. So we will go back to our repository that we have created, and we will go to the settings of the repository. Once we go to the settings of the repository, we have to click on webhooks. Once we are inside the webhook, you can see there is no webhook configured. We have to click on add webhook. So once I click on add webhook, it is asking me for authentication. Let me add authentication over here. So I got authenticated. Now what I have to do is over here, I have to pass the payload URL. Okay. So to pass the payload URL, what I have to do is I have to go ahead and I have to put the URL that we had copied earlier. So what is that URL? It is going to be the link to our Jenkins login. So you can copy it from here also. It is supposed to be this one with 8080. I will put it over here. Now, after that, you have to make sure that you add GitHub webhook slash. Keep other things as it is. Just send the push event, and we don't want any SSL verification over here. So I have disabled it. Okay, and we will deliver event details when this hook is triggered. Okay, this is done, active. Now I will click on add webhook. Once it is done, it is showing that last delivery was successful. That is the push. Recent deliveries. It is able to ping over here. You can see the post and the response was it is successful without any issues when you get 200. Now, as so at the current moment, what we have done, we have created our GitHub repo. The repo that we have created, a developer has pushed in data. Now this data has been cloned by our Jenkins master and it has been put into the workspace of the slave. so that we can run our job over there. Now, as well as apart from the cloning and GitHub integration, we have also set up webhooks. So later on, if we are going to make any change to our website, it is going to be a continuous integration and continuous delivery. So we will do it at the end for continuous integration and delivery. So what we are going to do now we are going to come on the final stage where what I'm going to do is I am going to create a new job which is going to deploy our website onto one of the slave applications. So now let's understand what we have our repository, I mean to say the Docker file as well as the index.html file, what content we have, what exactly it is going to do. So first I will start with the Docker file. So Docker file, what we're doing is we are pulling a Ubuntu image. Once the image is pulled, we are running this command. This command is actually updating the Ubuntu server, and then it is installing the TZ data. Then it goes ahead and install Apache 2. It is kind of a Tomcat server. Then once it is done, what it is doing is it is pulling the index.html from the current path that we have provided towards the /var/www.html folder that is already been available inside the container. So once that is done, it is going to just copy and paste it over here. Then as an entry point, it says that Apache CTL is the entry point, and we have to run this in the foreground. And I have kept the environment name as DheerajTechInsight. Going back to our other file, that is index.html. As part of index.html, I have created an HTML code, which is nothing but kind of, I would say, YouTube landing page, which showcases some videos which are already available on my YouTube channel. So these are the files that we are going to use. Now, as we understand what exactly is the file that we are going to push, so it's time for us to create our final Jenkins job. And what exactly this job is going to do is, so this job is going to pull our files from our GitHub repo. It is going to put that file into the workspace. Once it puts that file into the workspace, it is going ahead and spinning up a Docker container. Once the Docker container is up and running onto the slave server, then we would be able to access our application onto the specific IP address of that IP address of that specific slave instance that we have created. So let's go ahead and see what is the new job that we have to create now. So let's click on new item. I will give it a name, DevOps underscore production underscore pipeline. So this is going to be our final pipeline. I am clicking on freestyle project. I will click on OK. It has created our specific DevOps pipeline freestyle project. Then we have to make the configuration. That is a necessary configuration, which is going to be a GitHub project. As part of the GitHub project, I will go over here, click on code, HTTPS, copy the URL, and add it over here. Once that is done, I will go ahead and restrict this specific thing to run on slave 1. You can also run on slave 1 or slave 2 based on your requirement. Otherwise, keep it blank. It will run as per its requirement. Then I will click on Git. Again on Git, I am going to put the GitHub repo. Credentials would be none. Over here, as I said, we have the main branch. So I will just go ahead and put the main branch over here. Once that is done, we will go down and before doing creating this job, we have actually established our GitLab, not GitLab, GitHub webhook based on which this pipeline would be triggered. If you click on this, it displays the same information that when Jenkins receives a GitHub push hook, GitHub plugin checks to see whether the hook came from a GitHub repository, which matches the GitHub repository in SCM that we have already mentioned, and it will trigger the job. I will select this as well. Now we will keep other things as it is and move towards the build step. Into the build step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on execute shell. So now in execute shell, we have to go ahead and provide the command where our files are going to be copied. So yeah, as you can see the job, what exactly the job does. Let's understand the job from starting. So first and foremost, it is going to clone the code that we have over here, and it is going to save that in workspace. So whenever it saves that in workspace, it saves under the folder, which is the name of your job, that is DevOps production pipeline. So if you have to run the Docker command to build an image, you have to make sure you are providing the correct workspace where the files are going to be saved. So what I will do, I will write docker build -f, and over here you have to provide the name of the file. So what I will do, I will go over here, and as you can see in workspace, I will just clear this. So we have to use the path towards the workspace. So my workspace is going to be this, okay, where all the folders of based on the name of the job are going to get created. I will go back over here. Now I will just click on / once again, and I will copy this. Okay, that is Docker production pipeline. I will put that over here, and inside this we will be having our Docker file. So this is the path from where it is going to pick up our Docker file. Once the Docker file is picked, then it will name the image uh, that we have to create. So the name of the image we can keep is as YouTube landing page. After that, again you can give the same path yourself. Not this, the entire path till pipeline from home. I will give it the same. This is going to create the image for us. Once the image is created, then our next step is going to be docker run -it, that's interactive mode, and then we will do our port mapping, and that port mapping is we are going to map this container port number 82 from 80. So when we are going to access our application is supposed to be accessed on port number 82. Okay, so that is over here, port number 82. Then what I would do is I would go ahead and click on -d. Once I click on -d, and I have to write the name of the image. So the name of the image is YouTube landing page. Okay. So guys, our script is completed. What I would do next is I would go ahead and save it. Once it is saved, so I will be going ahead and build this job now. I will click on build now, and you will see the job will start. Okay, so job was pretty fast and it has successfully completed. So it has deployed it and the application is supposed to be up and running. So let's go to the EC2 console, copy the IP address and open it over here. Once we do, I will click on add 8T2 port over here, click on enter, and yes, we have the site over here which is up and running. So once the site is up and running for us, what's next? So next is now we are going to perform the entire CI/CD flow where we would be testing the continuous integration as well as the continuous delivery. So right now we just saw the continuous delivery where we ran the build the job manually, that is a Jenkins job, which actually deployed our application. But now, whenever we make any changes to our repository, then it should automatically update that over here. So for doing that or for testing that, what I would do is first and foremost, I will go ahead and take you to this manage webhook. So right now you see it's 2029, so which is not the latest one. When we will trigger any changes over here, it should be reflected over there. So I will click on index.html. In that index.html, we will make some changes. Let's see what changes we can make. I will just go ahead. So right now it says that DheerajTechInsight over here, and I would be going ahead and updating it to DheerajTechInsight landing page. And once it is done, I will commit the changes. So the changes are being committed. Let's see, the webhook is being initiated. It's 2029 now. Let me reload. It has changed to 2040. Now if it has changed to 2040, I will go back to our DevOps pipeline and see the job is running. So you know why this job has failed? The reason for that is this is the error that I wanted to show that I have purposely created for you. So right now over here, there is one line which is supposed to be added. So uh, we are running two commands. The first one is building the image, which should not give any error. But the second one, where we are running the Docker container, over here we are specifying the name of the image, and that Docker container is already up and running. That is the reason it is giving you error. So for doing that, what we have to do is we will go ahead. I will click on enter, and over here I will add one line. What exactly this line is going to do is this line is going to remove any of the existing containers which are up and running, which is hosting the application every time we make any changes. So this will remove it. If I save this change, okay, now as I have saved this change, now if I click on build now, I will go ahead and see if the changes has been done over here. I will reload this, and guys, you can see the changes has been done. But now because of this error, we were not able to test our entire CI/CD flow. So we will again make the change to understand if it is working this time or not. So for that, right now it is saying DheerajTechInsight landing page. So this time we will remove the landing page and just keep it as DheerajTechInsight. So for doing that, I will again go over here. I will edit the file. In this file, I am going to remove this part. Once this part is removed, I am going to commit the change. Before that, let's see the webhook once again. It's 2040 now. I will click on commit change, and you can see over here that 2040 has changed to 2042. That is the recent webhook trigger. And if I go over here, you can see there is one more job which has been, see, the job number 4 has been triggered and it was successful. If I go to console output, yes, it has been deployed successfully. Now the moment of truth, let me reload this to understand if our CI/CD pipeline is completely functional. I will reload this, and guys, you can see our CI/CD pipeline is continuously functional. So in this tutorial, what we have seen that how a Jenkins job can pick the data from our GitHub repo, and it can host our application onto a containerized platform, okay, as well as if we make any changes to our GitHub repo, it can trigger the webhook, and it can also update those changes onto our website which is up and running. So I guess that's it for this session, guys. I hope you liked the session, and thank you for joining. If you have any queries or comments, please don't hesitate to put your queries in the comment section below, and I would be happy to answer your queries. Thank you, guys, and have a great day ahead. Goodbye.